It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today I wanted to talk about just a bit of a different topic today. And it's about improving at DBD and why most people will never do it. Every day, thousands of people boot up DBD, lose a few matches, and then go straight to Twitter or Reddit to crash out and cope about how unbalanced the game is. But the thing is that they're not wrong. Dead by Daylight is not perfectly balanced by any means, but that's not entirely why they're losing. The truth is, most people will never improve at this game, and it's not because they can't, it's because they don't want to. So let's start with the first reason as to why that might be the case, right? And it's probably comfort. So most people will play DBD not to really improve at the game or really look at it as a game to improve at, you know what I mean, and get better with. They look at it as a game to feel good. They want to feel better, right? So in the case of Survivor players, they want that dopamine from the flashlight save or this like play or whatever have you that they can pull off. Or even like with killers, it's like landing a really cool clip, right? But the thing is that improvement takes discomfort. So losing and failing and struggling is all learning. But if every time you lose, you instantly blame the map, MMR, your teammates, you've already chosen comfort over growth. Speaking as somebody who is competitive myself, you can't get better at something you refuse to take responsibility for. So every time I lose, I always ask myself, what could I have done differently? Not what could the survivors have done differently. Because that's the key. Growth starts where the excuses end. Now, keep in mind that I am speaking from a killer main's perspective. We've already seen how bad the PTB is. We've already spoken about it time and time and time again. We've already seen that behavior has done nothing but baby the survivor side. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. And that is going to be obviously what the most of the casuals are gravitate to. And that also ties back into why we see a lot of these survivor players are usually very bad at playing survivor, because it's the more casual side and it really does not require you to be that good. But I think the biggest issue that comes out of that is their massive egos. And that is the second reason most players never improve, is ego. Ego is like a plague, if you know, pun intended, on Dead by Daylight. And it's why you see like survivors like bagging at the exit gates, like they will bag on the hatch, right? And I could bring in killers too, but and in those instances is why they will they say WS on the keyboard, like they'll go back and forth, they'll do that, they'll hit them on the hooks and stuff, right? It's a lot of ego in there. And ego tells you, I'm already good, I just got unlucky, right? But the thing is that when you actually strip away the ego, the excuses, you start to see where you went wrong, your flaws, if you will. The missed reads, the bad pathing, the poor time management, and pathing is even more important than you realize. It's applicable to every killer and every side, or you can say both sides, whatever. Pathing is incredibly important, right? Reading your opponent as well. It's poor time management, same thing. It's applicable to both sides. And the truth hurts, but it's also the only way to get better. Because once you start to let it go of the ego, you stop fighting the illusion. You stop really focusing on playing for validation, and you start to play for mastery. And you stop trying to really worry about the other excess stuff, and you start to actually understand the game. So another thing that people kind of like focus on a lot with this game is sort of the gameplay loop as a whole, right? Like it's very stale, right? Behavior never designed the game to really feel fair, right? And on paper, with an asymmetrical game, killers are supposed to feel powerful, and survivors are supposed to be able to really outsmart in a lot of ways, because in a lot of instances they can't necessarily fight back, but they can outsmart and out-strategize. But the thing is that a lot of the survivor players, at least that we've seen, get really caught up in the emotions like anger, like coping, salt, you know, crashing out, frustration, you know, everything, anything you wanted to call it. They fall into the same trap over and over and over again, right? And this might be even applicable to the vast majority of the casuals that are addicted to this game, right? They play a bad match, or even to everybody who's been playing. They play a bad match, they rage, they queue again, tilted, and then they learn nothing. And then they just continue to keep doing that. But they're not improving, they're just repeating the same thing, expecting a different outcome. But the thing is, the way to break out of that sort of like endless loop is to step back and accept that essentially either every win or or loss is data, or it really means absolutely nothing depending on the side that you're playing. Because you need to really reconsider what you think is what you're playing the game for. And as much as people will try to shame you for trying to play to win, or as much as people will try to like claim it's a party game, or as much as people try to say every opinion under the sun, at the end of the day, how you decide to play the game is up to you, because you decided to buy the game, you own the game however you've obtained it, and then that's how you do it, right? That's how you should spend your time, right? And the thing is that, like, as much as people are so stuck in their ways in that kind of way, they're very stubborn, and they don't want to kind of shift their mindset, they don't want to see the game differently. Like, when people are stuck in that mindset, in other words, I think it's a fear of change, right? And even furthermore, within DBD, DBD, and I even went through this myself, DBD is a game where you kind of end up sticking to the same builds, the same sort of routes, the same killers, because change really threatens your sense of control, right? And one of the biggest things with DBD is that lack of control, because you got to remember that it's a constantly evolving game, right? Maps change, perks change, strategies will therefore change slightly as a result of them. And what ends up happening, obviously, if you even consider the facts here, the maps even change. Like, there's things that will spawn in one match that won't spawn the next match. And the people who really are going to improve at the game are the ones that are going to be the ones experimenting, the ones that aren't afraid to fail with something new. And I think that people really forget that in order to improve at something, you need to be kind of bad at something. That is literally where everybody starts. There is no person in the world that starts off a pro automatically with anything, really. And if that is the case, that is extremely rare. Those are extremely rare cases. So, speaking as like a Ghostface main, who is like, I would say one of the best Ghostface mains in the community, at the same level as a top 6 Ghostface, like Shrouded Ghostface, you name it, right? Like, pretty much any accolade you could think of, right? At high MR, essentially, right? Improvement stops really just being about the winning and the losing, but it becomes understanding where your weaknesses are. It's all a mental game. And the players that are growing the fastest are the ones that will view every match as practice. They don't tilt when the survivors escape. They don't crumble when the gens fly. They adapt, they reflect, and they come back sharper. As much as I can make videos talking about how bad the game is, we also can't let ourselves fly into a state of cope, right? If you decide to still play the game, you need to also take into account that you're not gonna end up winning because the game is just not favored to you. It's just simply not, especially if you play killer. The game is not in your favor in any situation. So overcoming all of that, especially as somebody like myself that ends up maining a lot of low tiers in the game, overcoming that is letting go of those expectations that you have for yourself or that you think that people have of you, and improving on what your weaknesses are when you play the game. But in conclusion, I guess you could say, why will most people never improve at Dead by Daylight, right? Because they don't want to face themselves. They rather blame, deflect, and repeat instead of reflecting, adapting, and evolving to the game, right? But if you're watching this right now, maybe you're not one of them, right? Maybe you want to escape that sort of endless loop, right? And I'm giving you the answers, essentially, how to do that. As somebody who has been playing, like, since Made for This was just a perk that gave you haste when they were injured, essentially. Like, I've been playing the game in some of the lowest points, and the game is flawed. The game is stacked against you as killer. I mean, it's been statistically proven in every video I've been posting. It's just stacked against you most of the time, unless you're bringing the strongest character, and then that will equalize the playing field, which is ridiculous. But I've already spoken about that. With that being said, it's a sink or swim with this game, right? And that's the main thing I'm trying to get at right here. And that's why I've been trying to give you guys at least like bits of information, covering, you know, if you're trying to improve at the game, or if you're trying to approach the game a little bit differently, this is essentially the way to do it. And that is essentially like the point, right? I'm trying to give you guys the answers. And speaking for myself, right? Like, I'm somebody who's kind of stuck in my ways when it comes to a lot of the killers I'm playing. Like when it, like I basically have a couple P100s, and I usually don't feel like trying to try new killers because I have tried every killer basically, and a lot of them don't appeal to me, and that's okay. But maybe some of you have it, right? Or maybe some of you have, and that's what makes DBD so unique, is that everybody has a unique experience. But regardless, all of this stuff to say is essentially, I'm trying to give you guys the best information I can give you, man. I want to see a lot of the killer enjoyers out here get better at the game and show basically, like, you know, their wins essentially on how they've improved, what they've learned about the characters in their game. As much as we can sit here and cope, it's so easy to do. At the end of the day, this is sort of the way out, right? This is sort of the way out. And I know I'm probably yapping up a storm, you know what I mean? I'm probably not even making sense anymore. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much just like the conclusion, I guess you could say, when it comes down to like what I was really trying to tell you guys here. And it's really just trying to show you guys that there's another way around it. And hopefully you guys just enjoyed the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed maybe watching the gameplay in the background. I haven't really shown any Chucky in a while. He is definitely not the strongest. But for those of you who enjoyed it, consider hitting the like button and leaving a comment about your thoughts. Consider joining the members on Patreon or YouTube for exclusive content you're not getting anywhere else, like emotes as well as other perks. And I will see you guys in the next one. Stay tuned for all my members at the end of the video. Well, I wanted to go ahead and take some time out to thank all my members from Patreon with Crow King 101, my YouTube members, Majora Jeff, Endire, Evil Peachy YT, Zero Mocker, Christian, Hex Dev, and Crow Vader, and for my Twitch subscribers, Cake is the Road, Danica 2002, Final Girl _ Bunny, Acklefin, Chili Cinderace, Zero Mocker, Ginsburg, Johns 117 _, Lovely Ghost TTV, Jar TTV, Zazabu, and Crow Vader. Just wanted to thank you guys. And if you also want to have your name read off at the end of every video, make sure you join on one of these platforms to get one of those perks, as well as the other perks you get. So, appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much.